Okay, so judging by the title, you're probably thinking this guy's crazy, this guy's entitled, an idiot. But essentially, I think on the lines, what I'm thinking for the title is going to be like movies I'd pay $10,000 or $1,000 to see in theaters again. And basis of the matter is these experiences were so good in theaters, they're so transcendent compared to another film that I would warrant paying more money just to go see it again. And what you're going to notice, it's going to have a common theme that there's going to be certain directors on here where you're like, this movie might be good, but I prefer this movie. I'll give you an example. We'll go ahead and just get right into it. And we're going to start with the first one being Blade Runner 2049. Now, this movie is a technical masterpiece, and it's probably my favorite movie I've ever seen. I've seen it probably 30 times in different formats. I've seen it in small movie theaters. I've seen it in like this TV right here with like some earbuds. I swear I don't watch NASCAR, it just happened to come on. But essentially what I think makes it so great is you just get thrown into the world, and on a big screen in a big theater, that is so immersive. It's made by the director Denis Villeneuve, who is an absolute master at making technically sound movies. I say Blade Runner 2049, but we could easily put Dune on there, or even Arrival, Prisoners. I mean, all of his movies would look amazing on the big screen and just feel a little bit more than a movie. Feel like you're going in almost an amusement park or a roller coaster ride. I put Blade Runner on there for the fact that, I could split hairs between Dune and Blade Runner so easily. If you like sci-fi, if you like world building, and it's really not like a ton of dialogue, but it's just you're watching something that looks amazing, I promise you will love this movie, and even the plot is just... The second one we're going to go with, another really obvious one, but easy one to choose from that might actually get a little bit of controversy because a lot of his movies, a lot of people would say, are better experiences. But I have to say, this movie in particular, seen in theaters, is a completely different movie than watching it on said TV right there. I'm trying to get the mic in. It's Dunkirk by Christopher Nolan. A lot of people would go ahead and say Interstellar should be that movie, but Dunkirk is just such an immersive experience. There's like no dialogue in the entire movie. So Christopher Nolan put his best foot forward in saying this is meant to be viewed in theaters as completely immersive experience. I would say in terms of movie experiences, it's the starkest difference between watching it in theaters and watching it on, an average TV or an iPad, let's say. Like I always say this to myself. I give that movie like a 97 out of 100 in theaters and like probably a 75 out of 100, not in theaters. I really wish when people like talk about this movie, I wish to know that they've seen this in theaters, because it's hard to validate that opinion when you haven't experienced it in that format. Our third movie, going to be another big pick that a lot of people, you'll see it a lot of times on Reddit, and that's going to be 2001: A Space Odyssey. Now, I think a lot of people would agree that, Stanley Kubrick, the director of this film, this is probably the best one to see in theaters. But I will say that any movie that this guy has directed would be one of the best experiences you've seen in a theater. I literally talk about this all the time because, I've watched this movie multiple times. I watched it once in a theater-ish setting, like kind of a home movie theater. I've watched it on a TV, and I've watched it kind of like in a very immersive headphones in on a big screen TV as well. Once again, this is a lot like Dunkirk in my opinion, where the dialogue isn't as emphasized. It's great dialogue, don't get me wrong, very well written, but what makes it so special is it's a technical masterpiece. I believe it was made in 1968, and it feels like the movie was made in 2023. It's that beautiful, it's that forward thinking, and back in, whenever it was made, 1968, I bet it wasn't appreciated like it is now. They literally host it in East Village where I live. There's a couple of movie theaters that you can still watch it in 70 millimeter, and people go to see it. It's that good of an experience. Now, if you don't like, dialogue lacking movies, you might get bored with this, but if you just like immersing yourself in a world and watching just beauty, it is absolutely one of the most beautiful movies you will ever see. And just like the music that goes along with it, the score, it I don't know, I'm always just watching it like, I could easily say The Shining or Full Metal Jacket would also be such a good experience in theaters, but I'm gonna hang my hat on 2001. So this next one we have right here for our fourth one, and this is in no particular order, by the way, guys. This movie I was completely blown away by, and I'm sure you might have seen this if you're watching in 2023. It's Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. I will tell you, and I am definitively saying that's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. You see what happens when you push the humans to the limit. I know that's not a good thing sometimes, especially with all these animators, but I mean, what they produced was one of the most genre-defining movies or pieces of cinema I have ever seen. I can't tell you one film that looks or even relatively like the Spider-Verse movies. And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse takes that and cranks it up 100. The score, the music of it is just breathtaking. It starts in with some of the best visuals you ever see, and the animation is just unmatched. It truly defines its own space. And I guarantee you animation movies and movies that are animated will definitely try to take a note from that. It's probably the only movie on here where I'm not going to mention other movies by that director, because there is literally nothing like it in my opinion. And so for the last one, the last but not least, we're going to go with Grand Budapest Hotel by Wes Anderson. It just looks so much different than all the others, and what he tries to encapsulate in his movies are like a play. He's almost trying to make you see like a theater experience, actual theater, whether, you know, people are just, hey, I'm in theater. Thespian stuff. That's probably still not right. It's just such a uniquely crafted film. I think it's the pinnacle of this creator, and he's such a, they call them auteurs, like they just define their own space. They're so good. It's truly outstanding, and just go watch it. It's so unique and so fun to watch. Oddly enough, completely opposite spectrum, I would compare The Lighthouse to this. I'd compare The Lighthouse also to The Shining as well, but it just feels like such a different experience, and I guess the aspect ratio and the coloring and color grading and overall the production of the movie feel different than you would ever experience in, let's say, a typical superhero movie. So that rounds off the 5 list. You know, we're gonna quickly summarize it. Spider-Verse, Dunkirk, 2001, Blade Runner, Grand Budapest Hotel. And I mentioned quite a few others as well. Some ones that I did not want to omit, but I had to omit them because you can only add 5, are Gladiator and Children of Men. And let's even toss in like Mad Max Fury Road. If you can see any of these like 10 or 12 that I've mentioned, and you can like pay, you know, like $10, $20, $30, $40, $10,000, please do not waste that experience. It is gold. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up the video. Please go ahead and comment down below one movie you would pay $1 million to see once again in theaters. I know a lot of you are probably gonna say, I think I can tell what you guys are gonna say, but I would love to keep making this list and then, you know, keep iterating on it. Otherwise, from that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you all for watching, and yeah, go watch those. See you next time. Later.